smells like watermelons. Stay away from the yellow smell. An ear of corn always contains an even number of rows, normally 16 of them, and kernels, 800 on average. You can really smell rain. It smells like a mix of plant oils, bacteria, and ozone. Salvador Dali himself designed the Chupa Chups logo in 1969. He also insisted that it should be placed on top of the wrapper so that everyone could see it. The southern hemisphere version of Aurora Borealis is Aurora Australis. The best time to see the southern lights is also in the winter. Victorians used to say prunes instead of cheese before taking a picture to look more serious. Smiling was reserved for the uneducated. Sargasso Sea has no shore. It's smack dab in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, and its borders are all natural. They are 4 ocean currents. When you sneeze, the air blows out of your nose at 100 miles per hour. To find out if the cranberries are ripe or not, growers drop them and see if they can bounce over a wooden barrier. Only ripe berries can make it. 90% of the world's population lives in the northern hemisphere. Ketchup used to be a medicine that was sold as pills across the U.S. in the 1800s. The world's longest musical piece lasts 639 years. Organ 2, ASLSP, as slow as possible, is being performed in Germany and should be finished by 2640. Don't miss it. Every episode of Friends has the word friends in it. Who would have thought? Jousting is the official sport of the state of Maryland. Video game designer Toru Atawani explained a pizza with one slice removed was the inspiration for Pac-Man. Cookie Monster from Sesame Street has a real name, and it's Sid. An adult is made up of 7 trillion atoms. That's 7 with a boatload of zeros. There's just 3 billion stars in our galaxy for comparison. A blue whale's heart is as large as a small car, and you can hear it beat from 2 miles away. Dolphins call each other by names, or rather, special vocal whistles. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the first moon landing, 2,000 years, than to the construction of the Great Pyramid, 2,500 years. Bubble wrap was originally supposed to be a textured wallpaper. It was invented by sealing 2 shower curtains together. Facebook like button was supposed to be the awesome button first. Stand around 6 minutes, waiting for red lights to turn green. Enjoy. A golden lightning has enough energy to toast 100,000 slices of bread. In 1992, nearly 30,000 rubber ducks were dropped into the Pacific Ocean off a cargo ship. People will still be finding them from Australia to Alaska. There's a bridge over a highway in the Netherlands built just for squirrels, but a maximum of 5 squirrels use it per year. The little hole in the bottom of your padlock lets water drain out in case the lock is out in the open during a rain. The largest snowflake in history was the size of a frisbee. It fell in Montana in 1887. Roosters have built-in earplugs that keep them from going deaf from their own noise. Croissants that many see as one of the symbols of France were invented in Vienna, Austria, and only came to France in the 1830s. The world's largest pyramid isn't in Egypt, but in Puebla, Mexico. If your brain were a computer, it would perform 38,000 trillion operations per second. Even the most powerful supercomputer in the world has only 0.002% of that capacity. To become a taxi, or rather cab driver in London, you'd have to memorize 320 routes, 25,000 streets, and 20,000 sites. GPS is cheating. The expiration date on a water bottle is for the bottle, not the water. Plastic can reach inside with time, and water never goes bad. The most successful pirate of all times was a woman named Ching Shen. She she had 80,000 men under her command. The average crew checks their phone every 6 minutes. That sums up to a total of 150 times a day. The African continent is the only one that sits in all 4 hemispheres, and both the equator and prime meridian pass through it. Roadway lines were invented thanks to leaky milk wagons. A guy named Edward Hines saw it dripping in the center of the road in 1911 and thought it was a great idea. Ancient people used knives instead of notes to keep records. NASCAR drivers sweat so much in extreme heat, they can lose up to 10 pounds in one race. Pineapples were named after pine cones by European explorers because of their spiky look. Your body gives off enough heat in half an hour to boil a gallon of water. Apple had its own clothing and lifestyle line in 1986, but it wasn't a success. All blue-eyed people share one distant ancestor, as they all have the same gene sequences for eye color. An Australian man tried to sell New Zealand on eBay. The bidding was stopped at $3,000 by eBay officials. Mount Everest isn't the tallest in the world. The champion is Mauna Kea. It's a rock of just 13,800 feet above sea level, but the rest of it is hidden under the water. There is a city called Boring in Oregon that has a sister city called Dull in Scotland. The question mark and exclamation mark you probably use a lot to finish sentences has a name. It's interrobang. Doritos can be used as wood kindling. They are easily flammable and burn for a long time. Wow, that's incendiary. IKEA stands for this guy's name. I'm not even going to try. The founder's name, farm where he grew up, and his hometown. When glaciers are melting, they make a loud fizzy sound called Bruggy Seltzer. I'm not even going to try, but he was the only person to have ever played golf outside the Earth. He did that on the moon in 1971 during the Apollo 14 space mission. Continental plates drift at about the same rate as your fingernails grow. Cats can be allergic to humans, but it's most likely to be the perfume you wear or soap you use, not your natural scent. There is a fruit in Central and South America named black sapote that tastes like chocolate pudding. Art used to be an Olympic sport. Between 1912 and 1948, people competed in sculpture, music, painting, and architecture. Black boxes on planes are actually bright orange. It makes them easier to be located if, they have to.
Moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. But thanks to Skyrizi, I'm showing off my clear skin. With Skyrizi, I saw dramatically clearer skin. And most people were clearer even at 5 years.
Don't use allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased reaction, or lower ability to function may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any unknown symptoms of vaccines.
With Skyrizi, nothing on my skin means everything. Ask your dermatologist about Skyrizi today. Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Here, every road leads to pizza. Cheesy, hand-prepped, and always worth the stop. Get 2 slices of the Pepsi for just $8. Only at Pilot and Flying J. See you out here.
With Coinbase, you can trade cryptocurrencies securely in 6 easy steps. Create and verify your Coinbase account. Add your payment method, like a bank account, debit card, or wire. Select buy from a list of trade options. Find the crypto you want to buy. Enter an amount you're comfortable trading. Then finalize your order. It's that easy. Get started at Coinbase.com.
German chocolate cake has nothing to do with Germany. It was named after American baker Samuel German. Wow. The sky on Mars is red and the sunsets are blue. This has to do with the dust in the Martian air. A chef's famous hat is called toque, and exactly 100 plates, symbolizing 100 ways to cook an egg. And in France, one egg is enough. 60% of your brain is made of fat. In fact, it's the fattiest organ in the body. Play-Doh was designed as a way to clean water. Stop signs were yellow for 30 years. By 1954, that dye that wouldn't fade became available, and it all changed. In 2014, two research scientists living a 45-minute helicopter ride away found each other using a dating app in Antarctica. Tree rings grow wider when the weather is warm and wet. The hottest inhabited place in the world is Galo, Ethiopia, with the average annual temperature 94 degrees Fahrenheit and summer highs of 116 degrees. The only letter that's not in the periodic table is J. A single strand of spaghetti is called a spaghetto, and one ravioli is a raviolo. A French exit is what they call leaving a party without telling anyone in English. In French, they call it to leave English style. You can burn around 100 calories per hour just standing and do nothing. GPS is free to use, but it costs $2 million per day to make it work. The United Kingdom has more tornadoes per area than any other country in the world. Times Square was called Longacre Square until the New York Times headquarters moved here in 1904. The word kimono translates as something to wear. Ki means wear, and mono means thing. Santa Claus received a pilot's license and airway map from the U.S. government in 1927. They also promised runway lights would be on for them. The first band that performed live on all 7 continents was Metallica. On December 8, 2013, they played a show called Freeze 'Em All in Antarctica. There are more cell phones than humans on the planet. The Eiffel Tower was supposed to be erected in Barcelona, but the citizens disliked the project so much, they moved it to Paris. There are no keyholes in the presidential limousine, and only the Secret Service knows how to open it. The only window that opens is on the driver's side to pay tolls or talk to Secret Service agents escorting the car. The longest game of cricket lasted over 12 days between England and South Africa and ended without a winner because the English team had to catch their full run. There was a Qantas Airways Silverscape flight powered on coconut. It was the first commercial flight in Australia to run on sustainable biofuel. The guy who started the Guinness Book of World Records couldn't find information on the fastest skateboard ever. He got so angry, he invented his own way of keeping all records in one source. The bigger the brain an animal has, the longer it will yawn. Mice have the shortest yawns, and dogs and camels have the longest ones, only surpassed by humans. Pizza Margherita has tomato, mozzarella, and basil on top to represent the Italian national flag. It was created around 1890 for Queen Margherita of Italy and became her favorite. A human heart beats around 115,000 times a day, 42 million times in a year, and more than 3 billion times in an average lifetime. Abraham Lincoln loved cats so much, he once let a kitty eat from the table at a formal White House dinner. Spam mayo was named after canned meat that was said to be tasting horrible and being ubiquitous and inescapable in a Monty Python skit. The last letters in written English are J, Q, X, and Z. There is just one chance in 1,461 for a kid to be born on February 29th, as it only happens once in 1,461 days. The most remote ATM in the world is in the Antarctic. It serves around 1,000 residents of a scientific facility. Really? You need cash down here? Papua New Guinea has more languages than any other country. Over 820 indigenous languages. King of the Jungle was the original name for the Lion King. Then the creators realized lions don't live in the jungle and
Half a
named
cup of flour.
There's a special word meaning both nieces and nephews. It's nibblings. One surprising way to cure a tickling throat
Cook
is
the
to
flour
scratch your
first
ear.
with the
If your
sauce.
throat tickles, scratching your ear can help quiet it. This way you'll stimulate the nerve that causes muscle spasms in your throat. Fruit stickers are edible because a special safe glue is used for them. But it doesn't mean you don't have to wash the fruit before eating it. The smallest thing ever photographed is
Don't
the
do this,
shadow
it'll
of
make
an atom. It was
it
cast
won't
onto
mix
a
right.
detector, and only then a digital camera could capture it. 68 billion thunderstorms happen worldwide every year, and 1,800 of them are going on right now.
And I season the flour a
One of
little
the
bit.
weirdest holidays ever is celebrated on March 3rd as What If Cats and Dogs Had Opposable Thumbs Day. What do you think they would do first if they really got opposable thumbs? Share your ideas in the comment section below. The largest tree on Earth is a giant sequoia named General Sherman. It's over 2,000 years old and is as tall as the Statue of Liberty or Big Ben, and 18 times as heavy as a blue whale. Elvis Presley used to have blonde hair in his childhood and teen years. Then he decided black hair was cooler, and sometimes even touched it up with shoe polish.
Pepper.
The first photograph ever was made in 1826 and took 8 hours to
Garlic
expose.
powder.
Imagine sitting motionless for all that time. To show affection in ancient Greece, guys used to throw apples at ladies. Catching it meant accepting that love. Babies arising from those unions were usually named Fuji or Macintosh. Nah, I'm just kidding. The original idea of tea bags was removing tea out of them before drinking, but people decided it was way more comfortable to brew it in the bag. The temperature of a beehive is about the same as healthy human body temperature. When it becomes hotter, bees relocate to the hive and flap their wings to cool it down. Extreme ironing is a real extreme sport that was invented in England. The idea is to take an ironing board to a remote location and iron tons of clothing. Okay, so where do you plug the iron in? The first roller coaster was built in the early 19th century as a construction to carry coal down a hill. Then people found out how much fun it was and were willing to pay to go on a ride. The smallest inhabited island is located in New York State and is called Just Enough Room. There is literally just enough room for a tree in a house. And finally this, if baby owls are called owlets, then are baby toilets called toilets? Well, no.
You rather spot that prostitute flatbread carbo or crush it fast and fast? Find a flavor you're crazy. Or get a bacon burger combo for $1 more. All you got, checkers and wraps.
All these are tired seasons. I should have been put in there, so I'm not.
Club members can get any footlong for just $6.99. All your favorites packed with crispy veggies and fresh sliced meats. Great bread, great meats, great sauce, great deal. Use this code in the app to get your $6.99 footlong today. Subway, eat fresh, feel good.
So, are you one of those curious souls like me that wonder how much water trees drink per day? Whether planets can float on water? And why guinea pigs popcorn? Yeah, I know it's weird, but I'm a curious kind of guy. Get ready to find the answers to these and many other burning questions. Cats don't actually know how to use a litter box. Their instinct helps them. Their ancestors did it to hide their scent from more dominant cats and other predators. The word muscle comes from the Latin little mouse. People in ancient Rome thought some muscles, for example a flexed bicep, had a mouse-like shape. Your body gives off a tiny amount of light. In other words, you're glowing, but nobody can see it with the unaided eye. Babies only make crying sounds, but shed no tears until they're at least several weeks old. Owls don't have eyeballs. Yeah. Their eyes are shaped more like tubes and held in place by special bones. On the bright side, owls can turn their necks 270 degrees in both directions, plus 90 degrees up and down. And they don't even need to move their shoulders at that. Nerves are connected throughout your body. They carry information from the brain to different organs and back at breakneck speed, up to 260 miles per hour. The human heart beats on average more than 3 billion times during its lifespan. Man, if I had a nickel for every time. Your nose has at least 400 different scent receptors. That's why most people can detect around 1 trillion different smells. That's 3 to 4 times as many as the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. An apple is almost 20% air. That's why it floats when placed in the water. Ooh, anyone for some apple bobbing? Pineapples are super slow growers. If you plant the top of a pineapple, you'll have to wait for 2 or 2.5 years for it to start blooming. American buffalo herders often make decisions by voting. For example, when they choose where to travel, animals would stand up one by one, look in a particular direction, and then lie down again. In most cases, the herd then moves in the direction that takes them that way. Oh, by the way, Roger Miller says
coming here
you
doing
can't
this.
roller skate in a buffalo herd.
Police.
At first sight, the fluffy rock hyrax
Oh, so
doesn't
you
look
got to
somewhat
look.
impressive. The animal lives in some parts of Africa and the Middle East, but this 10-pound creature is one of the closest relatives of the 10,000-pound elephant. Your brain tends to change memories with time. That's why you're likely to have at least one false piece of memory, or a whole lot more in my case. The University of Oxford is older than the Aztec Empire. The educational institution was established in 1096. The Aztec Empire was founded 332 years later in 1428. But who's counting?
Yeah, threw a little H2
Your
on it.
blood makes up
Water.
7 to 8% of your total body mass. People are more honest when they're tired. That's why most confessions are made during late-night conversations. At a particular temperature and pressure, frozen liquid can start to boil, and boiling liquid will freeze. This phenomenon is called a triple point. For water, it's a bit more than 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 611 pascals of pressure. Your body loses from 30,000 to 40,000 skin cells every hour. Within a day, you shed almost 1 million skin cells. Look behind you. There's a big pile of you on the floor. A big oak tree can drink 100 gallons of water per day, and a giant sequoia usually consumes 500 gallons in one day. Horses use facial expressions to communicate their feelings. These expressions are rather similar to those people make. For example, horses raise inner eyebrows to show sadness, fear, and surprise. They also pull back lip corners in submission or greeting, probably where the expression, "Hey, why the long face?" comes from, or not. Marge Simpson's hairstyle is super tall now without ears. She uses it to hide her rabbit ears, or at least it was supposed to be this way. The creators were going to make a big reveal in the last episode of the first season, but then they decided the cartoon had gotten too realistic and left Marge with just an unusual hairstyle. Placebo sleep is when you make your brain believe you slept well. If you're convincing enough, it can boost your brain performance. A moose's antlers are so sensitive, they can feel a fly landing on them. The human brain is shrinking. Over the last 10,000 years, its mass has become 1 tennis ball smaller. Luckily, it hasn't influenced how smart people are. Explains why I stink at tennis, too. An adult's body consists of 7 billion atoms. That's 7 and 27 zeros. 65% of them are hydrogen atoms, 24% oxygen, and 10% carbon. The remaining 1% is other elements, like copper, zirconium, lead, and so on. Grizzly bears have such a strong bite that they can crush a bowling ball. That's why you almost never see grizzly bears bowling. One bamboo species holds the world record for being the fastest growing plant on Earth. It grows 35 inches per day. Scientists discovered 14 new species of dancing frogs in 2014, raising the total number to 24. Maybe they could do a revival of the chorus line. The largest city in the world is Tokyo. It has a population of 38.5 million people. That's 4.5 times more than the population of Switzerland and more than twice bigger than the population of the Netherlands. Your earlobes become longer as you age because of gravity. It causes them to stretch, sag, and look as if they're growing. Trained pigeons can distinguish between Pablo Picasso's and Claude Monet's paintings. And if they sit on a stool while they paint, well, you can kind of guess their nicknames. Bubbles can help you keep the water in your bath warmer for longer. They serve as a kind of insulation and reduce heat loss. Some penguins propose to females by giving them a perfect, in their opinion, pebble. Humans use a different kind of pebble. Foreign accent syndrome is a real, although extremely rare, condition. It can be caused by a brain injury. People who have this condition start speaking in their native language with a foreign accent. Archaeologists have discovered some evidence that proves there were takeout restaurants in Pompeii. If you couldn't escape the volcano's eruption in time, then you were eating in. When you try to remember something in the past, you don't recall the original event. You actually remember the last time you saw it. The chevrolet, also known as mouse deer, is a tiny animal that looks like a miniature deer with fangs. When you sleep, your brain is getting cleaned. Special fluid flushes through it and washes away dangerous toxins and harmful proteins that have built up there during the day. Saturn could float in water because the planet is a gas giant and is less dense than water. Your brain accounts for 2% of your body weight. At the same time, it uses up to 20% of all the oxygen and calories your body consumes. Because of warmer weather, more turtles are born female than male. Chihuahuas have the biggest brain in the dog world, relative to their body size, of course. The ampersand symbol was formed from two letters, E and T. ET is the Latin word for and. Spider silk is 5 times as strong as steel of the same weight. Researchers claim that a spider silk rope 2 inches thick could stop a flying Boeing 747. Your finger can feel objects as tiny as your hair width. In other words, if your finger was the size of our planet, you'd be able to tell the difference between cars and houses. Up to 85% of all the oxygen on Earth is produced in the world's oceans by tiny creatures called plankton. They are so small it's hard to see them without a microscope. Living near the surface, they convert sunlight into energy. The byproduct of this process is oxygen. 1 person in 10,000 has a condition called situs inversus. That's when an internal organ is reversed or mirrored from its usual position. In most cases, it's a complete right reversal of all abdominal organs. The tardigrade, also known as the water bear, is a microscopic creature that's famous for its survival skills. It can live through extreme temperatures from 300 to minus 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and the pressure that's 6 times stronger than at the ocean floor. The creature can also survive in a complete vacuum. Tardigrades sometimes spend almost 10 years without food.
I don't know like that.
If the guinea pig, especially a baby, gets excited, it starts popcorning. It means that the animal begins to hop up in the air, which looks like a kernel of popcorn in a microwave. When you lose weight, your fat cells don't just disappear into thin air. they also slim down and become smaller. It works the other way around too. When you gain weight, your fat cells grow in size as well. There are more than 24 time zones in
Like
the
2
world.
biscuits left.
These are exactly 1 hour apart from each other. Many time
That's how you
zones
make
have just a
breakfast.
30 to 45 minute difference from their neighbors.
Or let's say,
I checked Allstate first and saved hundreds on my car insurance. Unfortunately, I did not check
About
my
$10
outfit before
less.
meeting my girlfriend's family.
biscuits and whatever.
Yeah. So check Allstate first. You can save hundreds.